just accept it. Ah, there it is.
I'm just laughing at you, seeing how you try and set this up. You are not that old, sister.
Yo, I feel like I forget every single time, like legit. Like I'm sitting there like, is that the button? Okay. And also like it says, hold on, we're telling more people. And I'm like, can they see me while you're telling more people? Oh yes. Well, thank you, Ethan. Welcome, welcome to the
Going
Powerhouse
on.
Connect.
Awesome
Where
for having me on.
yes, yes. So I'm excited about tonight because you're my first guest that has not been a direct advisee to
Mm,
me. So, which I think is a unique experience because a lot of what the people I've had on have had a personal relationship with me in an advising role. And we've obviously a transition to being friends and colleagues. But I think you being on today and people will learn a little bit more. I was just thinking to myself, I remember a world where your younger brother didn't exist.
mm,
That's how long I know you. Like you're in my
uh,
brother's like kid pictures. Like there is evidence that like your parents, I knew your parents before you existed, which is crazy, right?
yeah, word.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, so I thank you for coming on today, and I'm gonna let you formally introduce yourself. I want to thank everybody who's gonna watch this eventually and that are gonna join as we chat. And just as an overall, Powerhouse Connect is a company that is gearing towards supporting and inspiring and empowering individuals in their career and professional pursuits, particularly after they have completed undergrad and are looking to find ways to make transitions in their career development. But it is all inclusive because I am an educational enthusiast, and I think there are many ways to skin a cat, kind of. And so one of the big topics that I feel like is a buzzword, but I think that we should talk more about it today is entrepreneurship, particularly, and the particular experiences you had both before and after college that have hugely just inspired you and kept you moving towards your road of entrepreneurship as a whole and being a serial entrepreneur. So yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself so they know who you are for those that don't, and then we'll just go into the combo.
Cool. Well, again, thanks for having me on. My name is Ethan Scarlett. I like the full name. I've had people tell me that my name is author. I sound like an actor. Yeah, I give it to.
Give it to me.
But yeah. I am, I guess, what you call an entrepreneur, just based on the field that I've gotten into in my endeavors. I graduated from Rutgers. I say Rutgers first, and then I say the Camden campus. Rutgers will be one school, but went to Rutgers Camden, graduated with a business management degree. And even with that, I didn't even, I left high school not knowing what it was that I wanted to be. I chose business because it was the easiest thing for me. Um,
Mhm.
and with business, it's so broad. You could pretty much get into anything with a business management degree. So I'm like, let me just pick that and see if I find my path along the way. And I still didn't find my path. So, but I
There goes
was
that.
I was always open. I was a people person. I got involved with just expanding my network, joined a fraternity, just was open-minded to any opportunities that could come with it, right? Um, so after graduating, I landed a corporate job early. Like I graduated that Friday. I think I started working that following Monday.
Mhm.
Started right away. But I was there for maybe about 1.5 years or so.
It was short.
It was short, and I quit. I just left. I I just wasn't happy, and I'll dive into that in a little bit. But I knew that that wasn't supposed to be my end goal. So I left corporate world early, dove into being a full-time entrepreneur. Um, Currently building a couple businesses right now, but I left starting that, and then also transitioned with my dad, helping him with his pest control company that he's been running for about 20 years. So helping him with that day-to-day operation, and got a lot else going on. But yeah, that's a small synopsis. Got a lot going on. Started from nowhere, and now I'm,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And I think your dad is somebody who has been, I would say, one of the instrumental adults in terms of how entrepreneurship can be successful, for not just the putting your hand to the mill, but also how you're building legacy. You're also building wealth within your family as well. And so, and I think I could assume that when we talk about mentorship, a lot of times in academic spaces, of course, we have advisors and these formal and even fraternities and things often harbor a sense of community that tries to encourage mentorship. But for you, what role did your dad play in how you saw yourself, um, and what made you feel encouraged about actually taking that leap, and quitting that job?
Wow. Yeah, just a strong work ethic, man. I mean, just every single day, just never really showing emotion, getting up, just doing what he had to do. Like I'd see him wake up in the morning. Sometimes he'd be out of the house before I even get up.
Mhm.
Been a few nights where by the time I'm going to bed, he's just getting in the house, or I don't see him until later on in that evening. So the work ethic is something that, um, just seeing that hustle, that grind. I mean, my parents coming from another country, me being first generation here, just firsthand, just seeing the struggle, just seeing the grind, that kind of put this chip on my shoulder to almost be like, it's on me to do something, right? Like I feel like I want to do more. I feel like I have to
Mm.
give back in some way for at least a quarter of what they've been able to provide for me, and then also my brother. Um, but just seeing that grind, and seeing the fact that he had a responsibility, never really complained, um, always had his head down and just did what he had to do, no matter the struggle. So he's definitely been somebody that's just been huge with making me want to push and just give back, even with working with him right now.
Right. And I think it's important. I think we say it all the time, especially when it comes to representation in the classroom or in spaces. And it's like, it's hard to be something you can't see. And it's not that it's impossible, but there's some reassurance when you see how people have navigated, like the fact that your dad came from Jamaica and came here, started a business, a very successful one at that, that is continuing to run and potentially will for hopefully generations to come, right? But then also knowing that there is privilege in his hard work that allowed you to also be able to take advantage of opportunities that he didn't have. So in a way, you're kind of like just a step above where he had to start, right? And so you're hoping that you could turn that into something. So I guess then the other question is like, who else has particularly played an instrumental role in helping you cultivate a strong sense of self and like self-efficacy,
Mhm.
and being able to take bold steps towards your own like career choice and your professional development?
Yeah, so I definitely have to throw somewhere in there that having a strong foundation in faith or in the church has kind of shifted, and made sure I've always stayed kind of on path, right? One of the things that my dad has always taught me, if there was only one lesson I heard, there's one thing he probably said every other day, and is, there's something or you'll fall for anything.
Right.
Those things has always been instrumental to making sure that I have some type of foundation of path of what it is that I'm trying to do. But having pastors in my life that has kind of just been there to really guide and just really give me that direction, that strong focus, right? And then I think it was my senior year of college, I started getting into network marketing. I was involved for maybe about 2 years or so. And that was, I don't know why I'm cracking. Give me 1 second.
You better put your singing voice on.
Right. Um, it played a vital part in my growth today, just as far as mindset goes. Understanding where it is that I want to go, understanding where it is that I want to be, and just understanding the shift of whether being somebody who just works a 9 to 5 and comes home and does nothing,
Mm-hmm.
versus somebody that maybe is trying to establish a wealth or do something like that. That has been a shift for me. So I've had numerous mentors and people that were in this network that really shifted and taught me how to change my way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because growing up in school, you're taught the same thing. And even from our parents coming from another country, it's you come here, go to school, get good grades so you can get to a good school and you can land a good job and live comfortably.
Right.
And for some people, like most people, it works because that's how America is taught. That's what they say the American dream is, right?
Right.
But for those small percentage of people that want to be able to maybe step out and create their own lane, or be able to see that I can do more, or I want more, I need to acquire more, right? Being able to step out and seeing that there is a door B, there is another option to whether create wealth, to change your way of thinking, to help others, to get yourself out of debt, do those things. So there were a lot of pieces. I'd say definitely from my parents to my pastors to my mentors, while I was involved in network marketing. They've played a big role in my mindset and how that's shifted.
Right, right. So, I've been really trying to keep these informal convos to 15 minutes, but it's a struggle. It's a struggle to be like, Nugget, all right, that's a wrap, right? But I think that we got a couple more minutes, and there's a couple things that I think would be hugely beneficial to the audience, here right now, and those I see a lot of our family, friends, and everything. They out here supporting, praise God. But but I see these videos watched pretty frequently, and I think one of the scariest things, and it's funny because even though I technically am before you, I'm not older, I'm just before. I came before, that's it. Uh, even though that is you hugely, I remember like every time I see you, like, so when you starting that business, so when you starting that business, and you have definitely been a catalyst in being like, dang, Ethan gonna ask me this again, and I ain't starting no business, and I be talking, I always talk about all these things, but I hadn't really like made the commitment to move forward. And so one of the things is that I think that a lot of times when it comes to advising and mentorship and spaces where there's this collectivist attitude about support and uplifting communities, we don't often talk about the reciprocated, like symbiotic relationship between learning from people who are maybe not necessarily that much far ahead of you, but have a foresight just because of their own experiences and their own exposure. For you particularly, was there events or people that maybe opened your eyes to the possibilities within entrepreneurship, and maybe just in general, like the flexibility that you actually have in terms of cultivating your sense of self and how you want to be in the world?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I remember, I'd say over the last 3 or so years, 4 years or so, I've dived a whole lot deeper into reading. And that was something that I absolutely hated doing. And I hated reading, and I think even my comprehension level was low. Like elementary,
To be honest.
right? I hated it. But um, when I started understanding, maybe it was just the type of books that I was reading. That's why I didn't like it. There came this shift. So I've been focusing a lot more on like self-development, the self-help, the leadership books, how to work well with people, things like that. And I've learned a lot. So again, going back to network marketing, that may have helped with just being advised with maybe what kind of books to read, how to shift my mindset. So quotes like to have something that most people don't have, you have to do things that most people will never do to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that have shifted where I know I have to go against the grain and do some other things. Events. I remember I was having a conversation, and this was like right at the tail end of while I was working in corporate. I was at the gym. I was with my boy. I was with Nasir, and we were just cutting it up. And I don't know if he got it from somewhere else, whatever. But the point is that it came out. It was that um, a lot of people struggle from the fear of the unknown, and I actually dove into that a lot deeper a couple of weeks ago on my new podcast. But the fear of the unknown, where a lot of people are worried about something that hasn't happened yet. So during that transition where I was leaving corporate America, there was people that I would go to, and that's why it's so important to know the kind of people you're getting advice from and counsel from, because I had people that were telling me, hey, before you quit, maybe try and find another job just for in case. Oh, hey, maybe you should wait and write it out. Maybe things will change, right? And it could have been their own fears, their own insecurities. I remember even when I was leaving, the regional manager came all the way down to my branch, took me out for lunch, and was talking about how entrepreneurship wouldn't work and things like this. He tried, failed, right? But how do you know I'm going to be struggling in 6 months, right? It hasn't happened yet, right? So that was something that I had to learn. I couldn't let the fear of the unknown
Hinder
uh,
you.
hinder me, right?
Right.
I don't know what can happen. So fast forward, I mean, it's been almost 2 years. I'm doing all right. I'm doing
You all
pretty
right? It's okay. All
good.
right.
But it's that fact where being able to take those leaps, so having those conversations, being able to talk to the right people and understand that the things that you're trying to do. If I'm trying to be a basketball player, why would I go to a doctor and ask them how do I get to the NBA, right? They don't know, right? And that was the same thing. I don't know if you'll go into it, but that was something that I even learned. I forgot who told me. It was a couple years ago. But there was this solid shift when understanding, like when you get to high school, you're like, what, 13, 14 years old when you start ninth, somewhere
Yep.
around.
About 14. Yeah.
And it's like your sophomore year of high school that you start meeting with your guidance counselor, and they're asking you, okay, what kind of college do you want to go to? Or have you started looking at what do you want to be when you grow up? We're asking 13 or 14-year-olds
What they want to be, right?
for
Oh yeah,
the lives.
I'm not gonna get on my soapbox about that, but I think that's part of the
Right.
that's
So it's like when I started understanding, I'm like, wow. So they were like, the shift comes in where instead of asking these young kids what they want to be for the rest of their lives, asking them how do they want to live, right?
right.
So now if they start saying, oh, well, I want to be married, I want to travel, I want this big house, this big, now you can start picking things and finding different paths that could help them have the lifestyle that they're looking for versus picking something and their lifestyle depends on what they are studying, right?
Right.
I see all these guys going and girls and people just going to school. They're changing their major 3-4 times. They're
Right.
in a career that they don't like, and now that's causing marital problems and all of that. Just
Dang, the major the cause marital problems. That's deep.
marriage, this is bad. So just really looking at those things, but that's kind of like those little nuggets that I've been able to learn and not allowed to hinder me, and I try to just push out the same energy that I've been receiving.
Yeah, I've been doing some workshops on value affirmation, which is a concept that says instead of us looking at what we want to become, how do we think about our value sets and in the ways that we can be that person in very different ways. And so, obviously, in my full-time position, I am a pre-health advisor, and I'm always asking students, why do they want to do medicine, right? And it has to go beyond, I want to help people, because you could open the door for somebody and that was help enough, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is like, there are qualities and characteristics of being a physician, like selflessness and service and diligence and a level of intellect, that you have to have a level of curiosity, that you're okay with the fact that you have to study and put in that amount of time in order to execute, and have a knowledge base that can actually help someone else. And you as a person have qualities and characteristics that you've always had, and that experiences that have reinforced why you want to go into the medical field. And instead of aspiring just to be a doctor, then you can aspire to be someone who serves in a very particular way, doing a very particular thing, and you haven't shifted away from your core values. But when you're talking to 13 and 14-year-olds, you're also asking them to choose something when they don't even know who they like. Personal development hasn't even fully rolled out, right? And so self-actualization is a huge thing. And the question becomes, is like, how do we understand ourselves, what we want, without having experiences that affirm or deny those things, right? And so I think a lot of us have learned it eventually, and most people catch up, right? But the question becomes, is like, what could have been avoided if I started there, right? Maybe divorce, right? Maybe like there's tons of things
Yeah.
that could have potentially been avoided if you just took the time to learn who you are and and like you said, how do I want to live my life? And then make career decisions and professional, moves based upon that. So then you stay true to who you are and who you serve, if you have that line, right?
Mm.
Instead of like this definition, this very universal definition of success, right?
Right.
And so it's a good thing you didn't listen to the naysayers, right?
Yeah.
And took a chance on yourself and really stepped out into the unknown. It is scary as someone who is balancing starting a company as well as working full time, but the work isn't unrelated. And I think you always have to think about, like, am I necessarily giving up something to give my full energy into something? Or am I balancing because one will help progress something? And you always have to ask yourself about what that looks like. And not to lie, I'm one of those people that be like, hold on. So who gonna pay my bills, right? So,
Right. Right. Right.
but a lot of it has to do with the lack of confidence I had in entrepreneurship being a source of stability, right? To me, entrepreneurship just seemed like a lot of uncertainty, but in a lot of ways I've learned that is not true, and there's a way to build sustainable efforts and keep yourself afloat in many ways. And so I appreciate you for that vulnerability and being like, I was scared, but like you said, you took the chance on yourself, and you're finding yourself in a place where you're growing every day. You mentioned your podcast. I've listened to a couple episodes, and I like your new series. What is it, like it's
The,
like a mini,
the lift you need.
the
Oh,
lift you need. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, 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 yeah. I like, me, my attention span is short, so
Yeah.
I like short
It-
things. And
That's,
I'm
it,
like, yes,
that's,
I like it. I like it. And so, whoever's watching, definitely check out that. I think bite-sized insights and, just encouragement, words of encouragement, insightful. Like, I definitely see you as someone who has wisdom beyond your years, which is great. And so I think that you will continue to definitely mentor people, not only who are maybe potentially younger or coming up, but also people who don't see the confidence in themselves and maybe a little bit further down the line. So you keep doing you. So I guess the last thing is, do you have any words of wisdom and any I guess like giving us insight about what you have going on next and what you're going to continue to work on?
Man. Um, Words of encouragement, advice. The simplest thing is not being afraid to go out and just really do what it is that you want to do. Right there are so much opportunity out here, and I have to remind myself often of just the possibilities. I mean, even just the age that we live in now, like I have no experience about how life was in the 80s and in the 70s and prior to there, but over the years you can see the difference of just the fact that there's really no excuses. If there's something that you really want, there are ways and means that you can go out and get it. um I mean, I thank God for the little bit of wisdom that I've been able to attain, or that He's allowed me to have over the last few years, and as I still learn. But I think everything happens for a reason, and that's one thing that I live by every single day. The things that I can't control, I tend not to worry about it. A lot of things that happen in our everyday world and that we see circulating around social media, I really try not to spend too much time on it, because there's it's not something that I can control, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can control is how I react to these situations. I can control my attitude. I can control how hard I work and how I try to provide for my family, or the goals that I want to accomplish for my family. I can control those things. So I think it's just focusing on the things that are really important to you, and just really having 10 toes down, and just going after it. And
Right.
things going on, I mean, I have a lot going on. I had something that was in the bio, and I couldn't announce it yet. So
Right.
we have some huge news that's coming up in the next few months. Um, and Boxhound, I mean, we're still growing. We actually have a live event next Saturday in Trenton. We're having a pop-up shop. Some local businesses coming out to do their thing. We have a live show, so our podcast, we're gonna be live right after for the last couple of hours. Um, Parents' business is growing. Obviously, if you need your
Right.
pro services in the
That's it.
Jersey area, you can definitely reach out.
I
And
have literally been in a hair shop and been like, yo, Ethan, we somebody needs some services. like like legit. And that's the beauty of like just knowing people. Like the fact that I know personally an exterminator, I'd be like, look, I got you.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So it's great, man. I love people. I love working with people, and I think we have to always just be open to working with each other. I mean, it's so easy to hate, and just show resentment to somebody when they don't agree with you or when they don't want to support you. But just smiling, just giving somebody a word of encouragement. You never know who is scrolling down their timeline that may need it. So I always try to be that light, and you never know, man. But yeah, I'm happy that you had me on and just be
Word.
it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So y'all who watching, please go follow him at Ethan underscore Scarlett.
I want to Ethan Scarlett. There's somebody named Ethan Scarlett somewhere on Instagram. I don't know where he's from. I almost try to report his name. I'm like, just give me your name. You don't even use your Instagram.
How do you know he don't? Oh, because it didn't look like it was active. It just was taken.
Yeah, he's just old. He's just, um,
Yeah,
whatever.
you had to. Yeah, And then what's your box hound? It's at box hound.
Foxhound lifestyle.
Where I'll put it in the comments. We'll put it in the comments as well, so you could go ahead and follow. And again, thank you for joining us for Informal Convos from Powerhouse Connect. I am your favorite global melanated advisor. That's my whole tagline. I think I'm going with it. So, right. I feel like you bring out the Kevin Hart in me. Like, Yeah, I thank you for your support. I love you.
Love you.
I definitely see you soon, and maybe we'll do a collab or something. You know, that is for bringing that inspirational vibe to the next generation.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, cool. I'll see you.
Bye.